Hi guys, welcome to my pilot video. I'm TASSIE-MOTO or Small Town Moto, I haven't decided yet. I live in Tasmania, Hobart, Tasmania. Small state at the bottom of Australia, for those who don't know. I'm on my way to work, which is about half an hour down south from where I live. So I'd use this time to just make a quick video, talk about my bike. May or may not upload it as my first vid. Depends on whether it comes out well or not. I'm really just trying to test out my mic. Let's see here. It's bloody flowers. Blind spot. So, I ride a 2013 Honda NC700D, otherwise known as a Integra 700. For those, some of you might know, most probably don't. This is actually a scooter. It's part of the NC700 range. It's a scooter version. There's also an XS, and I think there might be another one in some countries. This is a 670cc parallel twin. I think it puts out about 51 horsepower or something at about 5,000 RPM. The red line's about 6.5, a bit under 6.5, so it's not very high revving, which I suppose most parallel twins really aren't anyway. It's a pretty nifty little thing. It's unlike most scooters, it hasn't got a CVT, a constantly variable transmission. It's actually got a dual clutch transmission, which you might be able to hear. It means that it actually changes gear. So a 6-speed transmission, which can be used in a few different modes. It's got a couple of auto modes. The first one's just drive, where it pretty much just gets you up to 6 as quick as possible. It's good for highway riding, that sort of thing, but it's not good for in the city, because you go too slow. Sometimes you shift gear on between sort of 40-50k an hour, and it just drops up and down gear and shifts up and down gear. So, and it's just not much fun. There's sport mode, which is a bit more sporty, I suppose. It holds the gear for a lot longer, depending on how hard you, on how much you open the throttle. It holds for about another 1500, 2000 RPM. I've had it almost redline, but I've been in sport. Sometimes it's a little bit slow to shift. There's also a manual mode, which I use all the time. And the first couple of months I had it, I used the auto modes, but then I tried out the manual, and it's much better. You control the gears using little triggers on the left bar. Go up and down, similar to the sort of thing you see on a mountain bike. Speed a little bit. So yeah, tap up, tap down. It'll also shift down. It'll also shift down if you don't want to shift. But I always do, because it just gives you a little bit of engine braking. And I find manual to be much easier to ride in. because the sometimes the auto just changes at the exact wrong time. It just screws you up. If you're trying to accelerate and it just shifts up, and you want it to hold the gear for a lot longer, or you're trying to decelerate, or you're accelerating and then you have to decelerate and it shifts up gear right at the wrong time, and it just screws you up. So I find having the controls are much better, because you know when it's going to shift. You can prepare yourself for it. It's a bit of a cold day here, so it's freezing yesterday. Lucky I wasn't working in the morning today. Yes, that's my bike. It's technically a maxi scooter, and it doesn't really have the same sort of features a maxi scooter usually has. I mean, it's got crap all storage. I mean, a Bergman, Suzuki Bergman 650, you can usually fit about, I think, like 2 full face helmets under the seat or something crazy like that. With this thing you can barely fit an open face. I use it just to carry the odd thing, like a towel to dry the seat off, my locks. But for anyone looking for a maxi scooter and you're not middle-aged, those sort of guys are the ones that seem to go for the Bergmans, because they're just comfortable and easy to ride. But if you're looking for something sporty, get one of these. I wouldn't recommend the 750 though, because from what I've read, maybe a typo, I'm not really sure, but from what I've read, because the new Integras and the new NC range are 750s. So like this thing's a 670cc, the new ones are 748 or something, just shy of 750. But from what I've seen, the Integra, like my bike weighs 240 wet. It's got about a 14 litre tank, I think. The new 750 weighs 310 wet, and I can't imagine that the extra horsepower boost that the 70, 80 odd cc's gives you can be worth that. I mean, this thing, I've dropped this thing a couple of times. It's not fun picking it up. I can do it, but it's not fun. I've pulled my back trying to pick it up, and I would not recommend the 750 purely on the weight. I haven't had the chance to ride one because my local dealer doesn't want to get any in, because they're not very popular. Like to get this thing, I had to go over to Victoria, pick it up, and ride it back on the ferry, which was good because I got to learn to ride it on the highway and everything, figure out what it's like on the way home. Probably wondering why I bought this thing instead of buying a proper bike, and for the price I could have got a pretty decent proper bike. Because at the time, or when I got my license, I've had my license for a bit shy of 4 years now. When I got my license, I got it because I saw a cheap little scooter in the paper for a couple of $100 and thought, yep, that'll be a great way to get to uni. And it was, like, it cost me $5 a week to run it, and Like it wouldn't. I never took it over about 70 k's because it was scary up there. I usually rode somewhere about 60 k's, and that's all I really needed to do because I could just ride it through town to get to uni. And nice indication there, mate. Yeah, and it was good, but I didn't factor in the chance that I might actually love being on a bike. And I used to ride a push bike. We had a fairly decent dirt jumper that I used to take out every weekend and ride around the like mountain bike tracks and dirt jumps. So I've always felt at home on two wheels. And I didn't. Yeah, if I could do it again, I would not have bought my little scooter. I've got a full license and probably bought a CBR 250, Ninja 250, those sort of things. But I can't really change that. But anyway, so when I got on my P2 license, which is in Tasmania, I think most of Australia, for motorcycles you go a year of 6 months to a year of learners. Then you take your P test and your Ps for a year, and then after that you're T2 for a year, which means you aren't governed by the restriction laws, so you can pretty much ride anything. And so as soon as I got on my P2s, I started looking around for something that I could ride, that had a decent amount of power, but would still fall under my license. Because I wasn't really sure what I could do to change my automatic scooter license to a proper manual license. And yeah, I looked around and did some research. And it turned out this was really the best thing on the market at the time. I think it's still pretty damn good. Yeah, so I had my heart set on one of these. Didn't really think too much about figuring out my manual, trying to get a manual license. Because I thought at the time that I'd have to go back to my learners, do it all over again. I didn't really want to be restricted. I needed something that I could comfortably go on the highway and also take my girlfriend on the back. I needed to be able to take her to places while she was working on her car license. So I found one of these online, the dealer in Victoria. Called them up, arranged it all. I went to pick it up and rode it back. Brought it back here and registered it. I'm happy with it. Roadworks have been ages. Just cutting out rock. Assumes that it doesn't fall on people and they get sued. Fences too. Yeah, I love this thing. I think anyone looking for a large capacity scooter should at least have a look at one of these. As I said, I'd like to test ride the 750, but I doubt I'll ever get to see one of those. Considering they're not all that popular in Australia, and especially not Tasmania. Tasmania's pretty small. got a decent riding community, but there's not much call for something like this. It's sort of, in theory, it blurs the lines between the bike and the scooter. Lots of people argue that it's just a normal scooter. I like to think that it's a hybrid. But I am looking to possibly sell this and buy a bike. I'm definitely want to buy a bike for the end of the year. Yeah, I'd love to keep this, but I don't think I can afford to have two bikes. And I really want to get something with a bit more sportiness. This thing's great for commuting and touring too, I suppose, but it hasn't really got the sportiness that I like. So I'm looking. I'd love to buy a Ninja 636. I think they're pretty damn nice, but I can't afford that. Maybe in the future, or hopefully, probably in the future, I'll get one. But I'm looking at probably one of the 300 plus sports bikes. I'm really interested in the RC390, the newish KTM. I think they just look amazing, and the best thing about them is that they're not very popular. I mean, like everyone rides a Ninja 250 or the Ninja 300 or the CBR 250. Hardly anyone, especially in Tasmania. I think I've seen one here. Hardly anyone has a KTM RC390. And it seems to be the more sportier of those class scooters. Technically not 300. So I'd like to test drive a few bikes. Definitely going to try to take a few out if any dealers will let me. I forgot to mention I've got my manual license now. Because at the beginning of this year I figured out what would actually happen. Well, I sort of figured out what would actually happen if I do the test and of how to actually go about it. But I thought I was going to be going back on my P's, on the P1. But it turns out all I had to do was pass a little obstacle course on a manual, and they just took my automatic restriction off the license. So technically I can go out and buy myself a ZX14R or something ridiculous like that and legally ride it. And I'm almost a full license too. So hopefully I can bluff my way. I haven't ridden too many manual bikes, even a couple. But hopefully I can bluff my way through the dealers to convince them to let me take a bike out. It's water. Yeah, see, I'd like to take the RC390 out, even though I've sort of got my heart set on one. Oh, come on, this is slow. I want to just make sure it feels nice to ride. I've heard the seats a bit uncomfortable, but I mean it's a super sport style, so all of their seats are uncomfortable. And you can get an aftermarket or a KTM brand more ergonomic seat. So let's do that. Also want to have a look at the sort of competitors, all the 3 Japanese bikes. The Ninja 300, the R3 and the new CBR 300R, which I'm not sure if it's been released here yet. I haven't seen them around. But anyway, I'd like to take them out, and I'll do some reviews of them. I'll record it so I can let people know what I think. We'll try to give as much information as possible, just so if anyone else is thinking of thinking of getting one, I can help you out a bit, especially if you're a learner. Because I mean, in theory, I'm a bit of a learner. I've been riding scooters for the last couple of years and haven't really been on something. I was going so slow. Being on something with a physical clutch and foot controls, because the controls on this are both in my hands, they're both operating in my hands. It's just like a normal scooter. You know, I shift with my fingers. So yeah, and I'd like to help any learners try to give as detailed a review of things as possible. And I'll try to go for a few rides and show off Tasmania as much as I can, because I think it's great. Riding here is great. I mean, it's freezing most of the time. Well, not most of the time. During the winter. Summer's not too bad. Summer can be really hot. It can also be absolutely horribly wet, which is why I'd like to have my next bike have ABS, and this thing's got ABS too. And it's just that little bit of insurance, because I know even the best riders can be can lock up in a panic situation. I'm nowhere near one of the best riders. I'm probably average at best. So yeah, I like to go for a few rides. There's a few nice roads up where I work, so if I have the time, I might do a few videos up around there after I finish work one day. And there's a nice road that goes out to Richmond. It's quite nice and curvy. Which is like, I mean, it's fun on this thing. Because I mean, I don't put my knee down or anything, but you can lean this into a corner pretty good. I definitely get off the seat and hang off it. I ride this thing like a sports bike. I know it's not, and the seating position's wrong and everything, but I don't care. I ride it a lot harder than, say, most people do. I might do a few reviews of some of my gear too. I don't earn much money at my job, but pretty much everything I earn goes towards buying gear or stuff for my bike. So I do a couple of little gear and reviews on other stuff, like my camera. Hopefully you guys aren't too annoyed by the angle of my camera. It's just the only place it would fit on my helmet, because I've got a Nolan flip face, which annoyingly just wouldn't work anywhere other than on top. Anyway, I'm almost at work, so I'll wrap it up. That was my first video, my pilot video. Not sure if it'll ever be uploaded. If it is, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you like. I'm going to try to get some more videos up. I don't know how regular they'll be, because the weather's a little bit unpredictable in Tassie, and I only really want to make videos in good weather. So I think it'll be a bit boring. It's horrible weather. Unless it's really, really horrible, then I might make a video just to show you guys what it can be like here. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm TASSIE-MOTO or Small Town Moto. Figure out the name at some point. Safe riding. See you next time.